How we doing, y'all? What up? We are back with some more college football picks. Last week was really bad. It was our worst week of the year. It was awful. I'm not going to make excuses, but the law of averages, we've been doing really well. Eventually, we're going to have a bad week. Thankfully, it wasn't a terrible week. It was just a bad week. So yeah, I'll explain what went wrong here. Let's go over last week, and then we'll go into week 11 football picks. There are a couple good ones. So yeah, let's get started here. My wallet went 10-10. Essentially the same bets as I said on the show. With one flip, UCLA moneyline did come in. On the show, I actually recommended Nebraska. I started to lean more towards UCLA, towards when we got closer to Saturday there. The biggest blunder of the week was saying Army was a lock at -22. I used a free $100 bonus bet on that game. I was that confident. And an hour before kickoff, I laid this bet on Friday night. An hour before kickoff, freaking Army decides to announce their quarterback's not playing. Are you effing kidding me? Are you effing kidding me? Quarterback's not playing. You had 2 weeks to announce it, and you wait till an hour before kickoff. I am never doing a bonus bet again a day early. Never. Never happening again. And they almost still covered. You're trying to tell me with Bryson Daly they don't cover that game? They absolutely cover that game. It was 20-3. One more touchdown, and they cover. Or 2 field goals. You know what I mean? It was right there. With the best player on their team out, you got to think they covered that game. Especially considering the first 2 drives that ended in field goals. They probably would have run a couple runs with him, and he would have scored. So, major bad beat there. Really bad luck there. I mean, I didn't know. Had I known he wasn't going to play, I wouldn't have done it. I would have absolutely used it on Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt did cover, so I was a little upset about that. How are we doing, Desynced? How are we doing, y'all? All right, so anyways, I went 10-10 on the wallet. Good for plus $4.82. So I'm not too happy. I'm not, thrilled about that, but it could have been worse. On the show, we lost UConn by half a point. They pushed. We got Boise State. We got the Syracuse Virginia Tech over. We lost. We had a major losing streak in the morning. We missed Arkansas by a landslide. We lost Army. I already mentioned that. And that was a loss. Penn State, Ohio State under a pick 6 in the first half killed that. Or else it probably would have hit. We lost Illinois. That was also a bad beat. I think they only lost by 5. No, it was 8. Actually, it was 8. They easily could have tied that game up. Easily. So that one sucked. Duke, also another bad beat. Really bad luck on Saturday. Duke. They were winning the game. They were up 11. In the third quarter, they had a lead in the fourth. They let Miami score like 30 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. Unbelievable, and they don't cover the game. Ridiculous. I had Oregon first half, -7. That came in. Vanderbilt was a lock, came in. They won the game. I told you all to do a little money line spring on that as well. Missed Old Dominion. That was a lean. That wasn't really a pick, but it was a lean. We'll put it on there anyway. Got Indiana. That should have been added to the lock board, honestly. They just demolished Michigan State. We got UNL Monroe. And North Carolina hammered Florida State. Missed Nebraska. Like I said, I flipped that on Saturday to UCLA. But we're doing what I said on the show. Florida, Georgia over in the cocktail party. Always hits every year, it seems like. And it hit again. So, we missed Arizona. We missed Navy. That one hurt. There was like a weather delay for like 6 hours. And that game didn't go over to like, 1 a.m.? Something like that, 2 a.m.? It was really late. and Navy's sitting there as a road team, for that long. I know they're soldiers, but that's just tough to do when you're a road team sitting that long. So they did not even win the game. So sorry about that one. We got Mississippi State. That should have been added to the lock category as well. I ended up putting 2 units on that. And we got Washington. We missed Clemson, Louisville over. Not by much, though. A&M, I don't know what they did. They decided to have a brain fart and just absolutely shit the bed. We barely missed the Kentucky team total under. We missed that by a score. That almost came in. And then we got the Pitt SMU over. So yeah, we were 11-13 with a push on the show. Our worst week to date. Every week's been positive, but 2. This was the worst week, but hey, -2. I mean, that's not that bad. So let's get into week 11. Positive vibes. Let's get some a better record this week. We still are 166 and 136 and 2 on the year with 21 and 8 on locks. So we're still doing good. There's a lot of channels out there right now on YouTube and Twitch that are 500 or worse. There's a couple teams out there. There's a couple of big channels out there where their best player on the podcast is like 62 and 61, for example. All the others are negative. So at least, we're up 30 units here. I don't have a good feel for Cal Wake Forest, but if I were to do it, I would do Cal. You get pretty good line there with plus 100. You get some positive money there. You don't have to pay the taxes. The house doesn't get anything on that one. I would lean Cal. They're a lot better than Wake Forest, but I'm going to wait for this to get to 7. I like it at 7 a lot better than 7.5. Maybe we can get that under. Oh, we can. Maybe I will. Let's go with it. Let's go Cal. We'll roll with it. Iowa and UCLA. 5.5 now. UCLA's been playing a lot better. Iowa's kind of hard to figure out. They, at home, will blast somebody good, and then they go on the road and suck. UCLA's defense is pretty good. Iowa's defense is pretty good, but Iowa overs have been hot this year. So I think that's where you got to go with this. I think you got to go over 44.5. If UCLA just gets to 17 here, maybe 20. 20, it's definitely hitting. UCLA gets to 20 points, it's definitely hitting. Then I think Iowa win. You think Iowa maybe has 24 points, maybe 27. 27-20 is really likely here. I think the over is the play here. And if I were to pick a side, probably would lean with Iowa. They're a better team, but UCLA's playing better of late, so keep that in mind. I'm staying away from Rice, Memphis, inconsistency. I don't like throwing money at inconsistency. Joe Public's going to be all over San Diego State. Everybody likes betting San Diego State, even if you don't know a single player on the roster. But New Mexico can score, man. I'll tell you what. They can flat out score, so be careful with this one. I would wait for this to get to maybe +3, +4, and go New Mexico. I'd wait. That's what I would do. I think +2.5 is not great value at the moment. I've liked UL Monroe all year covering games. I don't see why it would change here. I mean, Texas State is definitely better. But where is this game? For some reason it's not showing up. Oh, well. The hooks here is important. If this was +7, I wouldn't do it. UNO Monroe, they kind of hang in the games. I don't know what it is. They just kind of do. So I would take the dog here at 7.5. Make sure you get the 7.5, though. Don't do 7. Not doing that. I lean Boston College here just because they're at home. Just win the game. Syracuse, big win last week, though. Right? Here's a game I like. This almost made the best bets board. Almost. And it might. Pay attention to the Discord. I might have a different feeling for this on Saturday. But right now... Oh, we can get 6 here. Even better. Yeah, give me Minnesota -6. You can get a better number on DraftKings. Rutgers, they started the year well. they have not finished well. Minnesota started the year poorly, losing to North Carolina, and then didn't do super well in their second, third games. But now they look pretty good. Win over Illinois. I don't know. They look a lot better. They're definitely a better home team, obviously, but they did win at Illinois last week, and Illinois is better than Rutgers. So give me Minnesota to just, win by a touchdown here. Rutgers' offense is a mess right now, too. That's something else to keep in mind. Maybe take the team total under because Minnesota plays good D. 38 with Ohio State. Listen, chat. You guys are going to think I'm nuts. Purdue's got 1 win. Ohio State's got 1 loss. Purdue is a bad team. Ohio State's a great team. But 38's too much for a conference game. It's just too much. With Ohio State playing Indiana next week, they're going to be focused on that. They're going to get a big lead in the first half. Then they're going to put in their subs and just coast and get to Indiana. 38's too many points. If Purdue scores 1 time, this is not going to hit. Because what do you got to do? What, 48-7? 48-7. Something like that. That's what you're looking at here. It's a lot of points. 48-7 is probably the most realistic score to cover for Ohio State. I don't see it happening. That's a lot of points. Even Oregon didn't. I don't think that we even beat Purdue by that much, and we're better than Ohio State by a hair. So I think you got to go Purdue here at 38. Maybe even wait a little bit. If they keep betting Ohio State up, you might get a 39 out there by Saturday. Keep in mind, just keep an eye on that one. I like Navy here. I know they burned me last 2 weeks. I think they regroup here. I don't love it, but I'll take the -3. South Florida hasn't looked great of late. So yeah, give me Navy. Texas and Florida. Texas is really good. Florida is not so good, but they have been playing better lately. Where is this game on DraftKings? I can't find it. There it is. 22.5 on both. It's possible this gets to 23 or 23.5 by Saturday morning. 23.5 would be a absolute must for Florida. I know Florida's not very good. They did just announce that their coach is coming back next year. What up, Quana? How we doing? Florida's not good. Texas is good. But it's just simply a math play. It's too many points. Florida's covered against Tennessee. They covered against Georgia. They're actually beating Georgia for the majority of the game. So they are getting better. I just think this is just too many points. Why? If they're going to cover against Tennessee and Georgia beat Texas. Why would we not expect them to cover against Texas too? I just think Texas maybe wins this by 18. You get a little bit of value here. So I'm going to go Florida. Miami, I don't know if Georgia Tech's quarterback is back yet. If Lagway didn't get hurt, Florida wins that game. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's very, very possible that could happen. That'd be a great money line sprinkle. Georgia Tech is good. But Miami right now, for some odd reason, is just... They've turned it up a notch. They're a machine. So if this gets to 10... Oh, it's now at 11. I would like Miami here, but I like this a lot better at 10. 11 is a little dicey, but I could totally see them getting a little revenge off last year's blunder. They were supposed to beat Georgia Tech last year. Mario Cristobal did not take a knee, and they fumbled the freaking ball and lost the game. So I think they got revenge on their minds here. Georgia Tech's a decent atmosphere, but it's not lit. And Miami, quite frankly, plays better on the road than at home this year. I don't know what the reason is, but so give me Miami here, but not a lot of value. Okay, here's a really good play. I actually think if this gets to 13, it probably won't. It won't. I kind of like adding Marshall to the best bets category this week. Southern Miss is basically a fade Southern Miss at this point. Southern Miss has one win. The only win was against an FCS school. And Marshall, they have a lot to play for right now. This win gets them bowl eligibility. And historically, when you're a double-digit favorite and your next win gets you to bowl eligibility, I think teams are covering like 80% of the time or 70%. It's a high number. Even on the road, it doesn't matter. So I think Marshall wins this. I would be surprised if they only covered by half a point. They win by 14. But I could see them winning by 17 here. Southern Miss is really bad. I think they've checked out. They have 7 losses now, so they can't get to a bowl. So, and they already fired the coach. So, yeah, I think you got problems there at Southern Miss. So I think Marshall covers that game. Now, this is important with Army and North Texas. It's at 4 over there. If Army's quarterback plays, Bryson Daly, they will cover this game, -4. Because North Texas doesn't play defense. That's why the total's so high. Army can freaking score, especially with Daly out there. North Texas can score too. But Army's got a great defense. So I think Army would cover this game. They probably win by 7 or 6. So not a ton of value, but a decent amount. But you gotta make sure Daly plays. So pay attention to that. The coach said it's possible he plays, so I wouldn't listen to the coaches at this point. I would just see who's warming up. Georgia, Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin needs this game, but so is Georgia. This is basically one of those playoff play-in games. Ole Miss loses, they're done. And it's at home, but it's not a night game. I just think Georgia's a little bit better. So give me Georgia. I think Ole Miss got a lot of injuries too, supposedly. Supposedly Georgia's got, Ole Miss has got a lot of injuries. Let's see here. Virginia Tech at home is a tough spot. Ooh, you get 6.5 over here. This gets to 7. I like Virginia Tech here. I'm rooting to Ole Miss so bad in that game. Rooting for him. Dude, I am too. Only because it gets Tennessee a little breathing room to get into the championship game. If they beat Georgia, it won't matter. But if they lose and there's chaos in the SEC, they might still have a chance to sneak in. It'd be weird to get a 2-loss team in there, but it could happen. But yeah, I for Oregon's, I don't want Georgia in the playoff. And you know why? Because the freaking national championship is in Atlanta this year. Talk about a big edge. And I would like my boys to finally get a title. But we ain't going to get a title if we got to play Georgia in Atlanta. If it was Georgia, if we were playing Georgia maybe in the Rose Bowl or something, that might be a little different. But in Atlanta, forget about it. Nobody's beating Georgia in Atlanta. So yeah, for those reasons, I hope Georgia doesn't make the playoff this year. It's just mostly a homer situation. So yeah, as I was saying, Virginia Tech +7 is key here. I could see Virginia Tech winning this game. Virginia Tech's a decent team this year. They're at home. Really tough place to play at Lane Stadium there. And Clemson, you kind of wonder where their heads are at right now. They have to keep winning. Another loss, Clemson's out. They might be out now. So you may see a defeated Clemson team here. We'll see. But I think Virginia Tech can keep it close enough in this game. So I would lean Virginia Tech here, but I really like +7. Here's one of the best plays of the week. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put -14 on my board. There is no -14 right now. But more people will probably bet Michigan because it's a big name, and they'll see it's a huge number. So I'm expecting it to get to 14. If it doesn't, I am just going to simply buy down to 14. Or not. I might just take it anyway. But I like Indiana here. I think they can win this game by 17. Maybe more. They are rolling right now. They beat the shit out of Michigan State last week. They're beating up everybody. I don't think they have a single-digit win yet. I mean, they are just blasting everybody. Probably the most underrated team in the country. BYU after that. So give me Indiana all day. Sneaky game here. Kansas and Iowa State. Oh, it's 3 now. I could see Kansas covering. Kansas is probably the best losing record team out there. One of them, probably them and USC. They don't have a good record, but they're covering every game. It seems like they're in the games. Kansas State barely got by them. They won by 2, and that was at Kansas State. This is at Kansas, neutral site, because Kansas Stadium's being worked on. I think it's in Kansas City, Chiefs Stadium, I believe, or one of the other ones, maybe the soccer one. Iowa State, how are they going to respond after losing last week to Texas Tech? Big upset there. That's why I think Kansas might pull off the upset here, or just keep it within the number. So give me Kansas plus 3. You gotta think the Beavs can win by a field goal here. Beavs got a lot of injuries right now, though, so be careful with that one. I'm actually not going to pick that game, but I would lean with the Beavers. I gotta go with Duke. I know they burned me last week. NC State's only covered twice all year. It's a rivalry game. It's going to be close. So I think this game does come down to the field goal, so that hook is important. Duke could win this game. And I like dogs that can win the game. So give me Duke plus 3.5. Texas Tech, tough place to play in Lubbock, especially at night games, but this is not at night. Colorado is good. I don't like this game. I'm going to stay away from it. Yeah, I'm staying away. It's too good. The number is right on the money. I had no value here. If he gets to the field goal, I might go Colorado, but I can see Texas Tech win that game too. Let's see what else we got here. Tulane seems like they're beating up everybody. So, I mean, I would probably lean with Tulane there, but I don't think I'm going to bet it. Here's a game I like. I've been rolling with Vanderbilt all year. Every single week I bet them. And it's been paying off, obviously. I think South Carolina's getting too much value from beating up Texas A&M last week. And Vanderbilt, I don't know. They've only beaten everybody in the SEC except for losing to Texas by 3. They had a bad loss early in the year to Georgia State, but everything else has been great. They beat Virginia Tech, beat Alabama, they beat Auburn, they beat Kentucky. They look pretty good. So I think they can at least cover this game, maybe win outright. So give me Vanderbilt plus 4.5. I don't know why they keep getting disrespected, especially at home. Let's see what else we got here. Louisiana is the best team in the Sun Belt, but that's a lot of points to lay. Sun Belt games have been kind of close this year. There's not a lot of separation in that league. All right, now listen. Mississippi State's not very good. Tennessee is good. They need to fix their offense, though. They got great defense. But Tennessee, you know who they play next week? They play Georgia. You got to think it's a little bit on their minds. Josh Heupel maybe just wants to get by this week. Just escape. Just get the win against Mississippi State and move on to Georgia. For that reason, I think Mississippi State covers this game. I don't know. I think Tennessee wins by 21 here. That's just my gut feeling. I know Mississippi State is bad, but they've been covering, They covered by double digits against Georgia. They covered against, who was it? Was it Ole Miss? No, I haven't played Ole Miss yet. They covered against somebody else recently, and they were, Texas. They covered against Texas. think they covered against somebody else too that they were a big underdog too. So they're covering the games, at least in SEC play. So I like Mississippi State to cover here, but Tennessee obviously going to win. One of the best plays of the week. Now, I normally don't like including my alma mater in best plays, but I see this number here, and you just can't refuse. Now, make sure you're doing it on FanDuel because it's 24.5 on DraftKings. But Maryland, I don't know if they've ever been to Autzen Stadium. You can't hear anything over there. There may not be more than 65,000 fans there, but it is loud as all get out. I've been to Neyland. I've been to a lot of stadiums. Autzen's right there. It's right there. And it's loud. You can't hear anything. So Maryland's going to struggle with that. It's also a really long trip. It's three time zones, big time zone change. Students are crazy at nighttime. But Oregon's just, they're probably could win this game by 28. So I think this is a great play. 23.5 is a great number. I was a little surprised to see that this was only 23.5. I was expecting 27.5. So you get quite a bit of value here. I don't think Maryland's going to be able to stop us. Our line is going to, they're just going to dominate that game. But Lane Kiffin, right? I'm rooting for Ole Miss. Yeah. Lane Kiffin's burned a few programs for sure. So yeah, you got to take the Ducks here. I don't know why ASU. This is the trap line of the week. There's two of them actually. Trap line of the week right here though. How is an Arizona State team that's 5-2, and UCF not a good record? They're a decent team, but they don't have a good record, and they're on the road. But yet Arizona State's only -2.5. That's very fishy, and it's -3 over here. I don't know. Usually you want to stay away from fishy lines like this. But I think I'm going to end up biting on it, and I will take the Sun Devils here. I think UCF has figured out their quarterback problem, but it's still a somewhat of a long trip. And Arizona State will have a lot of drunk students at night, especially since they're having a decent year. It gets pretty loud there too, if it's full. So I kind of lean with the Sun Devils here, but be careful. It's a trap game. That line stinks. I would have expected Arizona to be -7, -6, something like that. Big game here. Bama, LSU. I believe game day's here. Now, LSU Death Valley is really hard to play in at night. It is. But Alabama has dominated the series. They've dominated it. But they dominated the series with Nick Saban on the sidelines. So when I look at these teams, they're pretty even. I think LSU has a little bit better offense, but Alabama has a better defense. But they're pretty even teams. So I don't think there's any value to this at all. And I hate to do this, but I kind of think, man, this is tough. Because Alabama, I think, is a better team, but it's at Death Valley. And LSU, both teams need this. I mean, I just think you stay away from this game. This seems like a live play type of game. Like you're watching the game, and LSU doesn't start with the ball, so Alabama live line goes to like -6 or something. And then I think you would go LSU +6. That's what I think you would do. Wait for LSU to get like positive bigger number for sure. I think this is a live play game because that's too hard to call. 2.5. If it was 3.5, I probably would take LSU for sure. It probably was at one point, but yeah, it's gone now. Notre Dame is gonna annihilate Florida State. Florida State just looks defeated and lost out there right now, and it's at Notre Dame. Notre Dame knows they need to keep winning. They don't have a conference title game because they're not in one. They're not in a conference. So they have to keep winning. They have to have style points. So I could see Notre Dame I think they win this game 35-7. And that's 28. That's enough. Just give me Notre Dame. I'm not picking this game, but I don't know why Oklahoma's favored. I know Missouri has had a down year, high expectations, but so did Oklahoma. It's at Missouri, though. I would lean Missouri here, but I'm not picking any of those teams. I don't know which team's going to show up. I think I would lean Pitt here if it was 7, but it's not. So I'm not picking that game. I'm not taking Virginia. I don't trust them. I think you got to go Boise State here. I wish it was 24. Doesn't look like we have a better number out there. Oh, we do have a 24. Okay, I'll take Boise State with 24 then. Let's go. Maybe even a Boise State first half line too, because they might pump the brakes a little bit in the second half. Washington has had a really rough schedule this year. They had to go to Rutgers. They had to go to Iowa. They've had quite a few long trips. And it's been kind of a back and forth situation. And here they go again. Now they got to go all the way to Penn State. And I don't know. Is Penn State going to recover from the loss to Ohio State? You got to wonder how emotional they are right now. I think Washington covers this first half just because Penn State comes out a little sluggish, still kind of hungover from the Ohio State loss. I mean, they should have won that game. You know, they had 2 red zone trips within the 10-yard line. They didn't even score touchdowns on, so they could have easily won that game. But Penn State needs to have this. They got to have it. So I think you take Penn State here. And that's probably all the plays I'm going to make. Oh, no. There's one more I really like here. This is going to go on the best bets. Now, it's going to be very public of people to take BYU here. But I think the public's going to end up being right. Because although this is a major rivalry, they call it the Holy War. Same state, BYU and Utah. You got Salt Lake City is not very far from where BYU's campus is. We're talking less than an hour drive. But Cam Rising's done for the year, Utah's starting quarterback, and they might be down to their third-string quarterback for this game because Wilson is also injured. He's questionable. Utah has a great defense, good run game. I don't know why this line's so short. I think it's just simply because Utah has owned this series when they're at home. BYU hasn't won since 2006. But I don't care. BYU has covered every game this year except once, and that was against Oklahoma State. All you got to win by is a field goal. I think it's going to be low scoring, and I think BYU is going to win this game by like 7 or maybe a little bit more. But I like the value here. I know it's going to be a very public pick, but I'm just going with a better team here. I mean, Utah is 4-4. They haven't looked good. They've lost 4 straight, and BYU is undefeated. What am I missing here? You know, I know it's a rivalry. I know it's at Utah, but come on, give me BYU. And I would lean Washington State here, but I think that is. I think I'm not going to bet it though. So that's all I'm going to do, chat. Let's get the best bets up on the screen. There you are. Indiana -14, Oregon -23.5, BYU -2.5, and you maybe throw Marshall up there as well if you get a -13. But keep in mind of that Army one as well, if the quarterback plays. All right, y'all. Bet responsibly. I'm not responsible for your wins and losses, but we're doing good on the channel. And make sure you don't go too crazy. Don't bet more than 1% of your income. You know what I'm saying?